This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV Prime. In association with Micromax. Nothing like anything.
We've been focusing over the last couple of weeks on how to get that dream job, how to crack that interview, how to impress your prospective employers, and of course get that job that you've always wanted within your grasp. But let's just step away and take a look at a different work profile. Let's just take a look at social work. Why are young not taking social work as a profession, as a career, as a calling seriously? Well, that's what we are discussing today on our big weekly face-off. I'm now joined by Kriti Khurana, who works with Digital Green, also with Rahul Dhawan, who's a marketing expert at HDFC Bank. Thanks so much for coming in. Rahul, you believe that the young are actually staying away from social work. Why do you think so? Your time starts now.
I completely believe that the young are staying away from social causes. I would not call it work.
Yeah.
There are many reasons. I'll just go back quickly to a small story that it's a personal experience. So growing up, I think each one of us would have experienced, when we're going in a car and we're at a traffic signal, and there's a small little child who's come to ask, for money from us, and our parents would, maybe tell us to look away or to just, ignore and look the other side. That is our culture. That's our social conditioning that we've been born and brought up with. To help other people, I don't think comes naturally to us. And so we're standing at a place where, in order to do something, I need to get something. And just that satisfaction of helping someone, I don't think is enough in the youth today.
Right. So let me just see if I understood it. You're saying that our conditioning, our upbringing is such that, we believe, okay, just let's turn the other way. Of course, there might be all those people who are doing their bit, but you're saying by and large, you think that people believe that if you turn away and just, do not reach out. The giving arms is, of course, not the only.
And I don't think that they think of it consciously, right? It's a subconscious action,
conditioning, perhaps,
right? And at the end of the day, we're talking about 60% of our population, which is up to the age of 30. That's as per government established stats. And there is a small, very minuscule percentage of that which is actually very actively doing work in this field. So it doesn't need to be, running a social organization like an NGO. It could be a lot of other things that we do in our daily lives, which I believe is not happening.
Right. So you're saying you don't have to sort of go out there, put yourself out there. There's just little things that you can do every day for social causes to try and make, to sort of, we're a country of so many contradictions, of disparities, try and perhaps bridge that gap. But are we doing it, Kriti?
So what he said is that, it's by the condition, by a rationalizing mind that we tend to overthink, a little bit of an emotion comes in us, okay, why not do this for this person, and probably get into that kind of charity. But the rationalizing mind gets activated and it just breeds that thought of distrust in us, because probably it's not the way that we've seen the society be. We've always seen an eye for an eye or a buck for every service given. But I think it's the heart and it's the impulse. We give into everything basis of impulse. When we go out partying, when we enjoy, when we shop and everything, we give in to our impulses. But what about the humanitarian impulse that is always there in hearts of every human? It's probably some people are thinking and activating their rationalizing mind along with this impulse, and they're putting the skills and educations to use, and also using their impulses and trying to make a good concoction of a good service project, and then making that work a lot more.
Let me ask you, Kriti, let me ask you that, and I'm going to sound like a cynic here, but let me ask you that. Do you believe that there are all those people you're talking about here doing this consciously, doing this because they don't have anything else to do, because they don't have choices, or are you saying that they're making this kind of a conscious decision to go out there and do this?
Well, for one, I have seen people actually making conscious efforts, and I'm not talking about those people who have done, who probably studied from a second-grade school and have nothing to contribute to the competitive market or the MNC domain or anything. I've seen really MIT educated, I've seen Harvard educated, I've seen all the premier B schools people coming in and actually coming with that good business idea, but not really a business idea, it's a social impact idea, and coming back to the sector. You would see NRIs coming into India, it's a reverse brain drain, and them opening such nice, non-profits and working with nice models of social impacts.
Rahul, respond to that. I mean, there are all those who are sort of bucking the trend, as it were.
Natasha, my thing is that there are two problems that we have. One is that the mindset is not there. So yes, there are isolated pockets and there are isolated areas where there is development and change happening, and there are people who are actually doing commendable work. I'll just take you back to another small little thing. The fact that the work that you do should be natural to us, right? It is what we should do for society at large. But I'd look at you and I'd say that it's commendable, because it's such a rarity. It doesn't happen. The other area is that we keep speaking about employment and money and finances and family and all of those aspects. I have absolutely no information if today I really, really want to do something for the social, for society at large in any which way. There is lack of trust. I don't know, the money that I put in, whether it's actually going to be put to use, unless I maybe take out time, I leave everything and I get there on the ground and actually see it happen. Most of us don't do that, right? So the youth, which is 18 to 24 as per, again, stats, are impressionable minds who've already been conditioned with the way they've been brought up. And then what doesn't help is that there are just small organizations which are doing work in this field. There's no government.
Okay, perhaps I see your point, and perhaps, the other side could be the argument that this is the journey that a society needs to take, the sort of part of a churn and all of that. But, taking from the youth, the 18 to 24, just out of college, finished studying urban, just got that job, smartphones, etc., etc. At that age, how many would actually sort of stop and say, no, let me sort of try and do something to, say, educate one child by, even if it's my first salary, and of course, it's very different depending from person to person, but I'm going to sort of keep a little bit aside, or I'll do my bit, for clean energy. When do you believe this realization strikes? When does the penny drop?
I'll give a little bit of a bend to whatever you just said. Why just talking about educating a child? I mean, this is something that we've always heard that some organizations have been doing. Our parents have been contributing to raise one child, and it looks like that, that cliched version of doing social work and things like that. Why not use your analytical skills or your engineering or your, those skills and build up a project, or tag along with an international or an entrepreneur to make that bit of a difference. I mean, you have your smartphones, you can build a very nice app on it of like, there's crowdsourcing now, there's new incubators. I mean, you need to Google. Everyone is on their foot. I mean, it's just about defining how you're defining the social work. I'm a trained researcher. I have done my whole set of, research methodology courses and things like that. And if I feel like, I'm not equipped to do social work unless I'm, in that old rusty school teaching A, B, C, D, it's not really. I mean, I could do a good kind of a research,
that's really
impact
interesting.
research.
I think that's a very significant point that you've made up, that you have to break out of this mindset, that it's just this. I mean, I always believe charity is a bad word, but that we need to break out of this mindset, use these kind of skills, and perhaps that's where the hotshot graduates come in, the bright brains come in. You're not looking convinced, though.
Not at all, because again, we're talking about a self-revelation which happens. I have skills. I can use my skills. I'm an MBA graduate from Harvard, and I can maybe get down and do some social work. I can help people who need help. But at the end of the day, I'm talking about the other youth, which is the 60%. Where's the money? When an NGO comes to me and asks me for a donation, the second point that they highlight over there is that there is a tax relief. Why? Because they're trying to incentivize me in their small little ways that, okay, please make this donation, and at least there is something that you'll save on your tax also.
Correct.
And people do that.
Yeah, because that I would imagine that's going to be the big draw, right? People get attracted to that. Okay, if I put my money, there's something in it for me.
My point is that I'm talking about a person who continues his normal life. who does everything that he's always going to do, but he still needs to help.
Right.
The help cannot come from a revelation of my own. There needs to be a proper framework. There needs to be government. There needs to be educational institutions. There needs to be corporates. The company that I work for, so last year there was a regulation which came in that 2% of the net profits of every
Right, the
company should be
CSR,
should be towards CSR. Why last year? Number one. Number two, in spite of
Why
that,
not? Better late than never.
right? No, but you know the problem is that that is one thing that has happened. Okay, so 2% of net profits go towards CSR. I have no idea after that what that CSR
Apparently
translates
doing
into.
a fair amount of good, actually.
No, and the other thing is that Uttarakhand, right? So Uttarakhand relief, there was a huge outpour of help coming in from very different quarters. That happened. I gave away clothes, I gave away money, I'm back to my normal life. If I want the youth to play an active part in mobilizing, and heading towards doing active social work, I need a big quantum of of people. It cannot be in small pockets. And for that to happen, I can't inspire just you. So we can't just feed off each other. So it's not me inspiring you and you inspiring me and vice versa.
Right.
There needs to be intervention from...
But a tragedy, the scale of Uttarakhand, of course, saw people across the country sort of like really step up to the plate, as it were. A lot of youngsters who packed their bags and
I
said they're
also
going for
question,
relief.
is it always just my innate need to really reach out to people and help them that I donate or I do things for these causes? Or is there a certain guilt conscience within me?
Perhaps a bit of both.
That, I want money, I want the good life, I
Perhaps.
want materialism.
Perhaps.
I
But does
feel
that
a little
really
better.
matter? Does that really matter where I'm coming from? As long as I want to do my bit.
Yes.
Does that really
It
matter?
stops you. It stops you from doing what you want to do because it's not an easy path. If I really actively want to do something, I need to have that passion and dedication, which I'm sure
Right,
you do.
right.
The way you speak about what you've been doing, it stems from a lot of dedication and passion.
Right, Kriti?
But I think when you talk about social work, I think it's a misnomer, because when we talk about social work, we're essentially talking about giving a day's salary for Uttarakhand and things like that. But when we talk about doing something for social development, I mean, then I think everyone feels for it, because everyone donates for Uttarakhand. And then the government also gives you an incentive to do for it. But then when we talk about it as a discipline, or you feeling that, that bit of passion that just nudges you to even venture in it professionally and seek for things that are other than satiating your guilt conscious and other than just saving some taxes, but it's also that, hey, if I'm earning that profit, I could earn my bit of buck from here also, and yet have some human
and
life saved.
That's the point that I actually wanted to make, Rahul, that you don't have to stop what you're doing. You don't have to stop leading the good life. You don't have to stop, everything that you enjoy and all of that. But do you not believe that the two can coexist? You can do your bit here for whatever drives you. It may start with a feeling of guilt, and then who knows, you might even start enjoying it.
Maybe I'm
without compromising on
Maybe I'm
on
looking
life.
at it from a slightly bigger picture. So, for me to, if today I sit and I feel, there's a wave, there is a tremendous movement which is happening amongst the youth at large, not a small section of those people. That's the day maybe I'll be convinced that there is something happening. So, maybe just donating a small amount, or giving your old
No, what
discarded...
about the example that she gave? All those who are using their skills to try and sort of bring in some sort of change. You're saying the numbers are just too minuscule.
Are too small to make tangible results appear. I don't see that. I mean, I hear about it a lot.
Right.
But for me to get rid of my own lack of trust,
You need to see more of them.
I need to see it in a very concrete, organized
He
manner.
needs to see more of you, Kriti.
I'm
Basically,
sorry.
is what he's trying to say.
No, I agree
needs
to that.
See more people like you, passionate, using their skills, innovatively.
That's what our government is increasingly realizing. That's where your CSR fits in. That's where your ATC, all that fits in, because we're trying to get bigger. And you know what? Increasingly, you would see that all these international fundings that are coming in, they are now being sidelined, and your CSR money is starting to pour in, and people are actually developing their incubators and new startup NGOs into something that are bigger and that are contributing to your national, national missions. So you have Narega being supplemented by a range of NGOs that are contributing in 100 ways. We at Digital Green are contributing in 4 states in National Rural Livelihoods Mission. So things are happening, and we are trying to also, as an NGO, we also do a lot of small pilots to see innovations work, because these innovations are where the skill sets are.
Right.
And once we see them working in, we try to scale them up at a national level. We try to work along with national schemes and see those numbers getting bigger.
Okay, I just need to interrupt to ask you, how did you get into what you do?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that Rahul wants to understand that as well, to see how does someone do this. So explain to us.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting story, and that will kind of answer, the initial cliches that one has towards social work, and how social work changes into something that you can do with your skill. So I was also scheduled to take management exams like he was taking.
Okay.
So I was kind of planning to drop a year, and I chanced upon, so I took this exam of social work, masters in social work, and I cracked it. So I was like pretty happy, and I made this proposal to my parents that, hey, why not save my year and do my masters in social work? I'm very passionate about it. And they'll be like, dude, there's no money in here.
There, see, that goes back to
Actually, it does.
But you proved them wrong, Kriti.
So the thing is that I had it within my head. So even if it was not that route, I did my master's in economics, and I had that either I'm going to go into environment, sustainability, or it has to go into hardcore development sector. So, and I chanced upon a public health organization where I worked for 2 years, and I thought that my research skills were actually being used to see the impact of projects, and tell the donors that this is how many lives we've saved at a national level. We were measuring neonatal mortality rates. I mean, even 1% of a fall in neonatal mortality rates over 5 years is like working towards the Millennium Development Goals.
Right.
So it's something that I see, contributing. So, impact.
You should have dropped that year, basically.
That's fantastic, but yeah.
It's really commendable. And like he said, you're really passionate about, what
which is commendable, which is what you'd want in any profession or any field that you want to be in.
Things happen. You gravitate yourself towards it. You try to engineer your way to an MNC, but you'll eventually see the same kind of analytics that you're doing there. You may as well do it in an international non-profit, earn the same amount of
Especially
money.
because this kind of opportunities are now available here. Earlier, they said that the opportunity nahi hai, what do I do even if I want to, where do I go? But here's someone who's saying I can use it, I've used my skills differently, and I haven't really compromised on anything at all.
Not at all. I was in fact one of the top percentilers in my college, and I was earning one of the best amongst my batch. So there was like, and I really did not. I had my sense of insecurities when I was working towards getting a job in the development sector. I thought that, these guys are going to get into the MNC. The way they're going to go up in their career graphs is going to be the same as me. But, hey, I got a promotion yesterday. So
wow, congratulations.
Things are happening just the way they're happening for my brother sitting there and working in MNC analytics and things. He helps me.
That's
I
a very
help him.
important
It's the
sort
same
of,
thing.
misnomer that we sort of need to get rid of, that you don't have to really compromise. You're doing as well as your peers, maybe even better than some. Rahul, wrap this up for us. Has she managed to convince you?
No, not at all. So I'm sorry, but as far as that is something which can be commended. I still feel that there are a lot of people who are not strong enough to maybe counter these early level resistances that they get, and it's even if you cross that hurdle, right? So you don't know where you're headed into.
Right.
So that lack of clarity, lack of information, lack of trust. I think
unless, of course, like
huge.
Whole Kriti as an
if we multiply a lot of you and put you into the field.
We sort of hear these stories more.
Absolutely,
That's what
yes.
perhaps we need to do.
Absolutely.
We need to hear these stories more. We need people like you to come out and say you don't compromise on anything. Your life is good. You do everything else that people around you do. And then that could perhaps be one sort of motivating factor. But Kriti, Rahul, thanks so much for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us. We're slipping into a quick break on that note. Coming up after that, all that's making news online.